or a tap. Imagine a digital universe of monsters and summoners, a world of endless battle combinations, daily quests, tournaments, and season rewards. Imagine cards that can't be ripped, torn, or damaged, but are actually digital assets that are yours to trade, sell, or level up.
Hello.
At Splinterlands, we'll imagine it for you. All you have to do is play.
I gotta go here.
Join the fight at Splinterlands.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 1 of Monster Maverick. Give me something in the chat to let me know that you can hear me and everything's working right. Probably a good show. Ron, can you hear me? Is that the woot? Woot woot. Got 2 woots. 2 woots from a swoop imposter. We hear you. Alright. Let's go over and let's spam some Splinterlands stuff. And just because I'm going to. Okay, so we got a lot of holdovers from Ag's show. Ag does a great job memeing the news as always, although the debate over whether it's a meme or not is is Ron's argument. So I do have a cup. It is not filled with alcohol. It's just water flavored with 0-calorie flavoring. But I will drink because I still have to drive home. I'm actually at my office because my laptop and my home computer, or my home internet is just total crap. So I have Comcast at work and I have Comcast at home, and it's a vast difference. So I don't know why that is. All right, so we got Qua, we got Agrode, our illustrious founder, First Amendment, Inertia, Azaria, Jason, Leonis, Meme, which is Space Days actually, Patient Zero, Ron, Swoop and Swoop, and Spencer, Matt Clark, and El Gecko. Memes are people too, Ron. Yeah. So I spammed it over into Splinterlands. We'll see if any of them show up. There's not a lot of crossover in the communities. I mean, Matt Clark obviously is one. Ron, I think technically has a Splinterlands account. I think Inertia does too, but not too many of the regular PAL people are active in the Splinterlands Discord. Yeah, Agra, go tag everyone, because why not? Anyway, so this is the first show, and my main goal is to not be a technical failure and not give Agrode competition for the best worst DJ here for any PAL show. Oh, Ron, if you say so. I know you used to play a lot. I haven't seen you play a lot lately. In fact, let's do a quick transition. If any of you guys are watching on the stream, either the Vim stream or on the MSP, waves.com/listen, I believe is the URL. I'm going to have a lot of stuff on the screen. So let's take a look. So one thing that a lot of people don't know about the Splinterlands site is that if you're in your battle screen and you can see all your stuff, you can go over here to player and you can change it. So Rondon, 11 hours ago. Okay, you played yesterday. I stand corrected. Ron does play. Peachy says she does play every day, but she doesn't chat in Discord. I don't play in Champion League. That's the thing. So here's A typing. That's cold, Qua. That's cold. So one of the things that we did in testing when I was going over things with Ron is I was typing like this, and I was seeing how it compares. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it's too clicky clacky. But this is a membrane keyboard. It's a cheap little Logitech deal, so not advanced and mechanical. So what this show's about. This show is my take on Splinterlands stuff, which is kind of a math-sided thing. I'm into the markets. I'm into strategery, which is my favorite Bushism. I still use it after all these years. I'm into the NFTs that Steam Engine is rolling out, that we're seeing integrate with OpenSea and on the Ether network. I'm into all that stuff. The future of rentals, the price of deck, how rewards cards going out of print are going to affect prices potentially. So, so those are kind of going to be the topics that I deal with. And so as a first pass here, I thought I would, I have a membrane keyboard, I do. I thought I would give this strategic. Taxification is theftification. That's actually one of the topics. So I got A, B, C, D, E, and F, and you get to decide. Give me a, actually, let me do this. Let's do A. Whoops, somebody already did A. Yeah, B, C, D, E, and F. So I'm going to give you guys a little while to take a look and vote on which segment you want to hit at least first, and we'll see what kind of time we have left. And, you know, for those who know me, outside of Splinterlands, I do tax, I do crypto stuff, I do investing, I do politics. I'm part of the Talking Point tribe. I'm vice president over there. So if you want to talk about all those other things, we can, you know, time allowing, basically. And who's voting for Q? We got Qua and Gecko voting for Q. Okay. Good job, guys. And Aggie's spamming in Maverick's house. Love it. Okay. So let's let a couple people go through. And so far, we've got 3 on C and 3 on D, and one of those is mine on each. So we've got Splinterland taxes and you and the rental market. Okay. And I'll give you 10 more seconds if anybody wants to get any last votes. So there actually is a G, whoever put that up, and that's going to be a rate my deck, but I don't want to get into that tonight. So Qua says C for the win. Open seed. No, it's Open C. Open C is the Ether marketplace. OpenSea.io. See, this is why you need to come to the show so you can learn these things. All right. Are you asking for deck picks? No, I was just saying we're gonna look at somebody's deck and see what you have and what needs improving and all that kind of stuff. Yes, deck picks. All right. So what are we? We got 6 for D, the rental market. Okay. So rental market it is, and so there's a bunch of different varieties of the rental market. Let's go to Betta. So this site, if you guys are new, peakmonsters.com, they have the best interface for the market of cards, and they have the rental market. So let me just, for anybody not following this in the video, I'll take a screen cap. That's what it looks like. And see all these little rent buttons, you know, buy, bid, rent, buy, bid, rent, buy, bid, rent. You can rent just about any card in Splinterlands. That is a nice deck, Ron. So, like, if I'm looking at the Fire Beetle and I click on rent, it comes out like this. And if this is all review, then okay, so be it. So the thing about the rental market is that, you know, cards are expensive. You know, it's $2 a pack, and that's if you're buying packs. Individual cards range anywhere from a penny up to, you know, hundreds and possibly thousands of dollars. So the great thing about having the game on blockchain is that, you know, and being on Steam with a delegation system, is that we can create rentals where the card owner can allow for delegation to a card player. And Peak Monsters has implemented a system where the you know, a monetary transaction occurs, and if the money ends or the contract ends, then it automatically reverts back to the owner. So it's a no risk loan because it is secured through blockchain, which is amazing. So what's escrow? Escrow price is the amount of money that is put up by the borrower and is the guarantee for performance. So there's a term. You'll see this min and max duration, 7/30 days on that top one from Small, which is actually aggroed, in case anybody doesn't know. It's the Steam Monsters Asset Leasing Program, I believe is what that stands for. So when you rent it, you say, I want 7 days, I want 8 days, I want 21 days, I want 30 days, whatever it is. And you put up the escrow price. And if that contract goes to completion, the buyer receives 50% of the escrow back and 50% goes to the lender. If the lender breaks the contract early, then the entire escrow goes back to the borrower. If the borrower defaults on the contract and doesn't pay the agreed upon terms, then the entire escrow goes to the lender. So it's just a performance bond, essentially. And then there's a daily fee, which is, just the fee per day, obviously. And it's in US dollars, but it's paid in Steam or SPD, or I'm not sure they have Dark Energy Crystal set up yet, actually. And if we look at the daily cost at max duration, that's a calculation where the Peak Monsters does say, okay, this card's available for 7 to 30 days. If you rented it for the full 30 days and you paid the entire time, what would be your amortized cost per day? So it's a good way to compare the different offerings, because there's different escrow prices, different durations, different daily fees, and it's a way to compare apples to apples. So yeah, Peachy's telling Ron what escrow is, like just the definition of it. But in terms of Splinterlands, that's what we're talking about. And Matt Clark is right. Owner sets required escrow amount for each card. So like the way I do it on my cards is I have the daily fee, and my escrow will be 10 times that. And typically I'll allow rentals anywhere from 7 days up to like 6 months. So, basically my 10-day is just to, if somebody wants a short rental, I get a little bit, out of it. So it'll increase my performance a little bit. And if, I just want the cash flow. So I want them to have a little bit of stake invested. So that's why I set my escrow where it is. Small on this top one has a 0 escrow price. And I've just found personally that people they'll rent it for, a day and then cancel it. And, if there's no escrow, they'll just do that. And then your card is stuck on cooldown for 7 days, which is annoying. So that's why I do a 10x. But you can see there's all different varieties of escrow prices in relation to the daily fees. So one of my popular sets of posts is my spreadsheets. So I'm going to see if I can do this on the fly, because I didn't have this set up, and I probably should have. I'm going to add let's see. Let's add a window capture, and we're going to do Excel. Okay. Okay. So let's do that, and hopefully you should be able to see my spreadsheet. And give me a note in chat. My spreadsheets are awesome. Thank you, Clove. Very few people appreciate a good spreadsheet like like I do. So yeah, window captures on the fly. So hopefully you can see this. What I do is I have 2 different ways, or I had 2 different ways that I was bringing in rental income from from cards. So one set was straight through Peak Monsters, where I'll even show you. Well, I'll get to that later. So straight through Peak Monsters, where I have cards out for rent, and people rent them, and some proportion are rented, some proportion are not rented, and money was coming in. So that's these 2 columns: Peak Steam M and Peak M Steam, Peak M SPD. So that's the income coming through in Steam and the income coming through in SPD. And you can see the SPDs is not so popular anymore. Look at this whole thing in my spreadsheet. Because, SPD has been dropping in price. So how many Splinterlands spreadsheets do you have? I have one massive Splinterlands spreadsheet, and it takes like a minute to open. And because I have millions of tabs here. So no, it goes way past 15 tabs. It's, it keeps, it goes like that. So there's a lot. So yeah, so these first 2 columns are my incoming rents, totaled for that day. You can say like 1/7/2020. I made 43.4 Steam and 0.015 SBD. Now, earlier or last year, I was making more SBD because, the price of SBD made it more advantageous to do so. But now people are not. So the second way I was making money was that, I had the Heron's system that TC Polymath had created. So back when rentals first became a thing, I had wanted Peak Monsters to develop a set rental, ability, so that people could rent entire teams at a time. And they didn't really see the value in that, and didn't it was more development than it would be worth, and all that kind of stuff. So they made a business decision to not go through with that, which is fine. So then I contacted TC Polymath because I knew he was doing a lot of rental stuff, and I knew he had some coding abilities. And I said, "Hey, could you build a bot that would do this stuff?" And he said, "Sure." And he turned it into Herons Unlimited. So what it was, or what it still is, I guess, is a system that a playing account is created, and then a player gets access to that account, and the card owner delegates cards to that account. And so the player plays, does whatever it does, and to the best of its ability, and the income in terms of dark energy crystals is split on some preset arrangement between the player and the owner. And the rewards cards that the player earns are sold off to the automaker service, which pays a deck value based on the card, and then that gets added to the deck winnings from battles, and then is then split. So I had 38 accounts playing on that system, 4 of which were from the Leo group, but 34 were mine. And that's this FTP DEC. That's this column right here. So this is the dark energy crystals I was earning, or I was receiving from these rentals, each different day. And there's massive spikes at the end of each season because the bulk of the rewards cards are paid then, for season rewards as opposed to the daily quest rewards. So TC Polymath got kind of fed up with the customer service aspect of that and sold it to Felipe Joyce. And that's what Matt Clark is saying, and the Discord link here goes to that server. So you can, if you're interested in that, you can go there and become either a player or a lender. Now, I will tell you that there's way more players than there are lenders, so waiting your turn can take a while. But it is a great service, and the profits are just phenomenal. So last season, during this transition time, didn't do so great because players stopped, and TC Polymath was shutting accounts down so that if there was a vacancy, we couldn't refill it. So last season was not so great. But if we go back a season, I shit rainbows. My spreadsheet shit rainbows. I go back last season. So the deck value that I had delegated was $34,417.58, and that value comes from the Peak Monsters market value. So based on that, I made $301.63 in US dollar value, and that is based on the value of dark energy crystals on the day I received them. And that comes out to 23%. If you multiply this out over a year, because there's 24 seasons in a year. So, show me another place where I can get 23% on my money, and I will put money there. Especially when there's no risk of default. I mean, there are other risks. I mean, dark energy crystals can drop in value. Steam can go to zero. All those risks exist, but the risk to my cards is nothing because I'm only delegating the cards. I'm not actually transferring the cards, those accounts. So I'm always in control. I can shut it down at any time. So that was the season before, and you can see like some of these accounts do like 105% return on assets, meaning that if I made $11 on this $254 account each season, I would actually make more than the cards cost in a year. Here's one that's 96%. I can quit whatever I want. Here's one that's 89%. Here's one that's 66%. And there are some winners and there are some losers. A lot of it depends on the luck of the rewards cards. But if you're doing it in bulk like I am, it averages out. So 23%, 21%. Justin Ashby says, I wish there was a tool that told me the median value for my whole collection. Median value, that's kind of interesting. So if you go to Peak Monsters, you can go to your collection, and my collection is actually 0 because I don't hold my accounts in this. But let's say we go to Justin Ashby, right? I'm assuming that is your player account. So you've got $69 using list prices, $43.82 using bids, and $64.94 using market prices. So personally, I look at the market value. And what's your median price? Well, that's a little bit harder to calculate because you'd have to arrange these in price in price order, which you can't do, at least on Peak Monsters, in the collection view. So you can do an average. I mean, we know that you have 82 cards, and 82 into 64, right? We got Banjo in here, don't we? So we got $64 divided by 82 cards. So your average card, or your median card, is, your mean card is 79 cents. That's not bad. You have 136 BCX. So BCX is like the level 0 card. And this gets a little bit confusing for newbies where, when you receive a card from a reward or you open a pack, then that's a level 0 card. And you have to combine the cards to create higher level cards. So like here, the Goblin Shaman, he's got a level 2 with 3 BCX. And I'll paste that in the chat in case anybody is not seeing it. Copy, paste. So you can see that at the bottom there, the card ID is C1-1-whatever, and it's a level 2, meaning it's it went from a 2-speed to a 3-speed, and it has 3 base cards in it. So base card experience. Aggie thinks everybody needs more cards, so that's an impartial. That's not an impartial source. And so that's how you keep count. So this particular card, a Betta Goblin Shaman, to get to level 10 where it's maxed out, you need 505 of level 0 cards in order to make a single level 10 card. This is Justin Ashby, who was asking about his median value. So yeah, that's one way to look at it. Let's see. So anyway, back to my spreadsheet. If we go over to rental income, so last season, which I call season 13, it's actually a different number based on the way Splinterlands counts it. I made 660 Steam. I made 3.95 SPDs. I made 458,000 Dark Energy Crystals, and that all adds up to $420 US. So that's not too shabby. If I multiply that out over a year, that would come out to $8,773.96. Now this was before the Steam pump. So let's look at price of Steam here. So Banjo is showing we're at 18.9 cents. So that 660 Steam is worth a lot more now. 0.189. So that's worth $124, whereas back here it was worth a lot less. Oh, 664 is neighbor of the beast. All right. So yeah, so that's the rental setup. So there are players who have made a great kind of Splinterlands career out of renting cards. Jessic W or Jace KW has done a number of posts on how he rents cards and then gets them into Champion League because he's a phenomenal player, and he's paying $3 a day for the cards, but he's in Dark Energy Crystal earnings, in pack winnings, And in rewards cards, he's making way, way more than that. So you can check out his posts. So in fact, let's see if we can find one real quick. We'll do it live. Let's check out his blog. It's been a while since he posted one. Personal. Here we go. Let's check out this one. Oh, this is only battle data. Okay, so another thing that he compiles is is usage data by league, which is a great resource. So that's his personals. Splinterlands, he's won a million deck because he's a great player. Here we go. Usage win ratio for monsters and summoners for each league. So if you're trying to figure out what do I need to do, what kinds of cards do I need, this is the post you want to go to. And in fact, I will paste this in the chat so you guys can check it out. So you look at Bronze League, and you can look at Silver League, and you can look at whatever other league you want. So if we're looking at Gold League, and you say, okay, I'm in Gold League, my summoners, my rare summoners are level 6, level 7, maybe level 5. What cards do I need to fill holes in my deck? Well, here are the ones that you need, because on the left-hand column, it gives you the usage ratio, so how many battles used this card, and win-loss, and the win ratio. It's like, okay, when this card appeared, how many times did that team win? And Furious Chicken's like 50% because everybody uses it, so everybody has it in there. It's a 0-mana card. It's phenomenally useful. If you have the gold version, it adds 10% to your Dark Energy Crystal winnings. So keep that in mind. So if you don't have an Elven Cutthroat, well, you need one because it's in a ton of the winning teams. If you don't have a Royal Dragon Archer, that's actually probably me because I use that all the time. It wins a lot, but it's not used very much. I mean, it's a very rare card. If you don't have an Undead Minotaur, you're probably not missing anything. It's rarely used, and when it is used, it doesn't win very much. So this is a great resource for figuring out which cards to rent. So let's say I need a Divine Healer. Divine Healer is a great card. I go over to Peak Monsters, and I search. Or no, I need to go to the market, sorry. To the market. Then I search. Here's a trick on using the market page because there's so many. Do the search first and then uncheck this. And if I can spell stuff right, there we go. So Divine Healer, I could rent. Beta is probably going to be a better deal than Alpha, but so let's take a look. I say, okay, I can rent one for 7 cents a day. Okay, not bad. You need to have the Liquid Steam or Liquid SBD available to go and do that rental. But assuming you do, then it's not too expensive. I mean, for a common, that's pretty high, but it's a super useful card. It's the tank heal of the life team. If we look at Alpha, just to make sure, look at that, 5 cents. So you can rent that for 5 cents, which is cheaper than the beta, and you get a Dark Energy Crystal winning boost because it's an alpha instead of a beta. So that's worth doing. And if you want to go double boost, we can look at the golds. Here's, that's level 6. So, and let's look over here. We got level 10. Hey, one of mine is there for 5 cents. I need to change that. Nobody rent that. Okay, because that's crazy cheap. So yeah, for the same price, you could rent the gold alpha for 5 cents and go to town. So but that's how you find what you need to rent. And you always want to remember that your summoner is going to control how strong your cards can be in any particular league. So for commons, and if you have a gold level summoner, meaning that your rare summoner is level 6, maybe level 7, or your epic summoner is level 4, then you're only going to get to level 8 in the commons. So that's the highest level that summoner can summon. So when you're renting stuff, make sure to look for that. Level 8s are going to be, here's Smolp is gouging you at 6 cents. And that's right, Aggie. I said you're gouging. But if we go over to the betas, beta regulars, go down to level 8, it's like, well, they're still kind of expensive. Yeah. So there's arbitrage to be found. Anyway, so that is kind of the rentals, both sides. Whether you're looking for a card or you are want to rent your own cards. I actually have a video on how to use how to use Peak Monsters for market research, but they made it a lot easier now. When you go to rent cards, it'll pop up like the top 3 rented cards and the top 3 for rent cards, I believe, and then you can price it based on that. So it's quick and easy to do that now, and there's a lot of bulk tools. So one thing I do want to add in the market view here is that they added a new thing here where you can actually search by ability, which I just found out recently. I don't know when they added it, but it must have been not too long ago. So if you're not aware of this, it's super cool. So if you want a card with Magic Reflect, now you can see all the cards with Magic Reflect. And that's just awesome. And then you can search by, you can refine it by edition or by regular gold or, what rarity or what splinter. So make sure to check that out when you're looking for cards. Because maybe that's also, I'm lacking this ability. Like in the deck that I play on my main account, I don't have any opportunity except for the dragon one. So if I'm looking for opportunity, I know that these are the cards I need to look at. So super useful. If I want a neutral one, it's Parasitic Growth. Boom, done. So that's a great way to hone in on the cards that you want. Anyway, so that's my spiel on rentals. And one more thing, and it's always one more thing, right? So if we go up here, this is my history. You can see that these black lines down here, this is Dark Energy Crystal income as these spikes at the end of each season, and this is the US dollar value. So you can see last couple of seasons, kind of taking my foot off the gas, and it dropped a bit, but but it's there. So yeah, that is the story. So let's go back to the chat and let's do. Here, one more thing. I know, it's always one more thing. But, there's a lot of stuff to cover. So, and Aggie's all upset that people aren't memeing me enough. So, I'm glad you participate. Okay, I'm trying to find the original poll. Okay, so that was the rental market. And Jarvie sometimes comes out with posts with the overall stats of the rental market. I don't have access to that. I'm not part of the Peak team, but I'm on pretty good terms with them. So that's where we are. And second on the list, and we're half hour in, so that's probably a good place to transition, was the tax question. So, Splinterlands taxes and you. So I am a professional tax preparer. So what I am saying does have some amount of weight. I'm not your professional tax preparer, so keep that in mind. These are kind of generalities that we're going to be talking about. Let's see. We are still on the browser screen, so I'm going to Global Tax Inc. Find my own post from a couple years ago. Blah, blah, blah. Cryptocurrency taxes. IRS Pub 2014-21. So this giant mess of stuff was the original guidance that IRS provided in 2014, and this was all they said for years. And then last year they came out with frequently asked questions. Everybody was all excited, but it was really just more of this stuff. And everything I'm going to say is going to apply to U.S. taxes. Different countries have different rules and regulations regarding cryptocurrency and stuff like that. So, what I say here does not apply to Matt Clark, definitely, because I know he's in Australia. It does not apply to the Europeans. But if you are American, this will generally apply to you. So, the key question is number one. How is virtual currency treated for federal tax purposes? For federal tax purposes, virtual currency is treated as property. General tax principles applicable to property transactions apply to transactions using virtual currency. So, what does that mean? That means, what Neil says means that Matt Clark said it. What that means is that you have capital gains, which sucks because the fundamental problem with that whole idea is that you cannot use it as money. So, let's say you buy Bitcoin today at 9,000, whatever it is, and then you put in $100. 100 US dollars becomes 0.00 whatever BTC. Bitcoin then rises in price to $20,000. So now you have 200 and change US dollars worth of value in Bitcoin. You then use that Bitcoin as money and buy, a new chair. So you bought a chair for $200, and you now lost, or not lost, but you traded the $200 worth of Bitcoin for the chair. So you spend the 200, but then you also have a capital gain from that $100 value to the $200 value. So you're paying capital gains tax on $100 plus you're spending $200 on the chair. And that is the fundamental problem with the idea of taxing crypto as property. So are exchange fees tax deductible? Yes, they are, because they are a trading expense. How does this apply to Splinterlands? So with Splinterlands, you get dark energy crystals and you get rewards cards, from playing, and that functions as an airdrop, and you might even function as mining activity. So if it's an airdrop, you have an ordinary income event where you have to recognize the value of that drop. So if you receive 1,000 dark energy crystals and you receive $5 of rewards cards, well, then you have a $6 income event. If you were to consider it mining, in that your playing is an enterprise kind of thing, then you also have self-employment tax because it'll be an enterprise. So that is a horrendous kind of thing. Now, so you have income when you receive the crystals and income when you receive the rewards cards. What happens later? So when you trade those things, whether you're selling the cards or whether you are selling the dark energy crystals or what have you, then you have a capital gain from that ordinary income level up to the sale level, and you might have gain, you might have a loss, but it's sort of if any of you have been given stock options for your work, and you elect an 83B election, it kind of functions that same way. So how do you track all this? Well, that's kind of kind of impossible. Can you provide the definition as provided by the IRS of income? Sure. You can go to irs.gov and you can say income. So tips, blah blah blah. Answer taxable and non-taxable income. So you can read through this. Blah, blah, blah. Assignment of income, tax questions. Somewhere in here is what is income? Employee compensation, miscellaneous income. Well, it's going through different types. But income is essentially value received. And there are taxable versions and non-taxable versions. So Crypto Reaper is asking, will this be recorded, posted? Yes, it will. I am recording right now. Let me check my stats. Yeah, everything's looking good on the recording. And I'm going to be posting it to YouTube and hopefully ThreeSpeak as well. So, did you breathe American air any of this year? That's taxed. So, fun fact about U.S. taxes is that the federal government expects you to declare income from worldwide sources, and the U.S. is one of very few countries. I think it's 3, like Cuba and North Korea. I think are the other ones where that is expected. So, if you go to Australia for a vacation and you're playing Splinterlands, that still counts if you're a U.S. taxpayer. So, yeah, that's super fun. how do you track all this? It's it's impossible basically. I mean, you could build some sort of mining, or, some sort of blockchain analyzing app to do all this. Um, you know, make your best effort. That's basically what it is. Uh, don't quote me on the North Korea part. I think it's that, but I don't remember 100% off the top of my head. So, but best efforts. So, like, what do I do? People always ask, what does a tax man do? All of my stuff is held by my corporation. My Steam accounts are held by my corporations. My cards are held by my corporations, and slightly different tax rules apply because the corporations under the Trump tax reform or the Tax Cut and Jobs Act of 2018 or 2017. The capital gains of inside a corporation is just taxed as ordinary income. So basically, I'm just taking an initial and final valuation and declaring the difference as income. So that's my approach because it's much simpler. And the IRS is also cracking down on exchanges. So I don't know if you guys saw last year, IRS sent out like 13,000 letters to Coinbase people saying, hey, you might owe us some tax from previous trading. And there is the new tax question on all U.S. tax returns saying, did you buy, sell, transact, acquire any financial interest in any kind of virtual currency? And they always use that term, virtual currency. So yeah, the IRS is looking at this stuff. So like if you set up an account on Coinbase and you put in your social security number, then Coinbase will report you on a 1099-K if you go over 200 transactions and $20,000 of transaction value over the course of the year, which is the standard rule for all payment platforms. if you rent out your house on Airbnb and you exceed 20,200 transactions, you'll get a 1099-K from Airbnb. If you are processing credit cards through, American Express, and you go over those thresholds, you'll get a 1099-K from American Express. If you have a PayPal account and you're transacting that much money with those of volume, then you'll get a 1099-K from PayPal. So that's standard platform rules. So it's not that you made $20,000; it's that $20,000 went through your account. So that's something to keep in mind. And Spencer says, yeah, but can I just not? Well, that's why the IRS is asking. So, I mean, if you are trading peer-to-peer, then, there's no exchange record of that. If you are, taking your Bitcoin or Steam or whatever, and so I actually bought, last year, I bought honey on Homesteaders Co-op with SBD, which was amazing. I sent this guy like 10 SBD and I got like 3 little jars of honey in my mail, a week later. That was awesome. So, I mean, there's a blockchain record of the transaction, but there's no reporting transaction, to the IRS. So, it's up to you to declare your income. You are supposed to do that. That is the law. You're supposed to declare all income. So, if you charge your buddy $5 for, repairing his table or whatever, you're supposed to declare that $5. Same rules apply. It's nothing different. That's the part that a lot of people get tripped up about with crypto, is that it's not really any different. It's just property. So there is something interesting that happens because of that. And I will make a post on this, and it's regarding the wash rule. So if you have a stock and you sell that stock for a loss, and then you buy it back within 30 days, basically what happens is the IRS considers it a wash, and that sale doesn't count, and you don't get to use that loss. However, for property, that rule does not apply. So let's say you're holding Bitcoin from 20,000 and it drops to 3,000. Let's just say, right? That could happen. So if you sold it for 3,000, you have a $17,000 loss, assuming you had a full Bitcoin, right? And then you rebought right away at 3,000. Well, that's 2 different things. It's not a wash. It's because it's not a capital asset. It's property. So there's some interesting games you can play that way, which most people don't. But that could apply to your crypto holdings. And if you read this document, this pretty much spells out all the different scenarios. Now, I will say, Agrode is very fond of legalese, and what this is an IRS opinion. This is not law. So, um, keep until this until audits are sent by the IRS, and people fight those audits through tax court, and precedent is set, this still just remains opinion. So if you want to go and battle the IRS and die on that hill, well, somebody needs to. uh, but that's just something to keep in mind. This is an administrative position at the moment, and it's what the IRS expects. And if you want to go, if you have a contrary opinion, then well, you can go to court and fight it out. It'll take years, and it'll cost a lot in lawyers, but somebody will do it. Now, what's not helped with that argument is that most people, not you guys, but most people in crypto are treating cryptocurrencies as though they are property. They're just buying them and selling them, trying to trade, and IRS can administrate all the opinions. Yeah, they do, until the court says otherwise. So all those people on Coinbase or Binance or whatever are just treating it basically like a stock. And that is not helping the case of the people who want to use it as a money. So it is what it is. And it's sort of a no true Scotsman thing where it's like, well, they're not in real crypto. They're just doing placeholder crypto because they don't actually own their crypto. It's just held in escrow, and it's just internal ledger things and not blockchain ledger transactions, and all that stuff is true. However, it's still the case that people, what they're calling trading Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever, is these exchange transactions rather than blockchain transactions. So that is kind of the story. I'm sure people, tax is very individual. So everybody will have their own questions, and it is way beyond the scope of the next 13 minutes to go into everybody's individual situations. But, if I'm around, you can hit me up with some questions, over Discord, and I'll do my best to answer with no liability at all assumed. As a savvy tax man, are decentralized exchanges safe to operate? To operate, like as in you own the exchange? Is that what you mean, Spencer? Because there are decentralized exchanges. If you're collecting no information, then I think you're pretty safe. If you are, yeah, I think that's the key. And Agro can speak more to this than I can because he's dealt with the lawyers and trying to define under U.S. law what is decentralized and what is not. But I think if your website or web service or whatever is just relaying information of quotes, and everybody else holds their own assets, and assets are traded peer to peer and not through you, I think you're pretty safe. But that's just my opinion off the top of my head. So you are going to be making exchange fees. You definitely have to declare those in whatever entity that you are making those, and you'll have operating expenses and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, you would file a normal tax return based on that. Agent Zero's still going on about what is Mel Gibson saying in the movie? He's like he shits shits lightning and farts thunder or something like that. Ross Ulbricht may disagree. Ulbricht had other things going on. It's not as simple as all that. And Spencer's going to hold me personally responsible for any legal trouble. Sure. Good luck with that. I'm recording this. I gave my disclaimer, so I've had it. Okay. Hey, we got some beams going. Got some penguins playing slap ass, so that's good. And he didn't hire that hitman. That's right. So that's the bottom line with Splinterlands and taxes is that obviously if you buy a card, sell a card, and you make money, that's a gain. But when you receive rewards card or receive dark energy crystals, that's income too. So How forthcoming you are going to be about that? Well, I'm here officially saying you're supposed to report all income. Uh, so there is that. McG, yeah. I'm McS, actually. So, my family, I did the whole genealogy thing when I was younger. And my McSpadden is a sept of the clan MacLean of, there's two clans MacLean, and one is Lochbuie and the other is Duart. And I think we're in Duart. But McSpadden, McFadden, MacFadian, those are all different versions of the same name. So, fun fact, all the McSpaddens in America descend from three brothers who came over in 18 something or other and delivered gunpowder for the Army of the Union, or Army of the Republic, whatever they called it. So I do have Scottish roots, never been there, but I was into the whole, Tartan thing for a while. I was a big fan of the show Highlander, and my ancestors were Highlanders, so there's that. Patience here is why you got to make it weird. So basically, you're responsible for slavery. No, I was on the abolitionist side. In fact, I had a great something grandfather on my father's mother's side that was a brigadier general in the Union Army. So suck it, Ron. That's the that's the bottom line. Although I did learn a couple years ago that he wasn't a brigadier general like during the fighting. It was like back then they still had the normal scams that everybody has still today. So they would promote people at the end of the war so that their pension was higher, and that was apparently a thing that my great something grandfather was a party of. So people have been scamming forever, and there's nothing new under the sun except for crypto. Crypto's new. Oh God. So one thing, if you're following the video chat only and you're not in the Discord, you're missing Patient Zero's great memes here. People hitting bombs against each other, and Stephen Colbert, doing what do you call that? Just the screwing motion with the hole in the finger. So yeah, that is Splinterlands and taxes. And I know it's not what Aggie wants to hear, because it would be nice just to play and to get rewards, and that's fun. But it is what it is. And I mean, technically, if you are playing World of Warcraft and you're getting WoW gold and you're able to sell that gold, then it's the same exact thing. How hard is the IRS going to crack down on that? I'm going to go with none. But technically, it is what it is. And if you're making money on your video posts, then that counts too. In fact, we had one guy, a client, who came in and he comes in. He says, "Yeah, my kid's making $10,000 a month on YouTube." I'm like, "Okay, great. We're gonna have to do some planning around that." But he was doing, I forget which game it was, but he was doing gaming videos and was making a ton of money through YouTube. And he was a 17-year-old kid. It's like, I'm not going to go to college because I can make money on YouTube. And then it all dried up. So don't count your chickens before they're hatched. $5,000 a month after taxes. Well, it depends, Qua. It depends. That's the thing about taxes. And I tell everybody, said everything depends, because it comes down to individual, what's called facts and circumstances. So here's a basic rule of taxation. Individuals earn money, pay taxes first, and spend whatever's left. Corporations, there we go. Corporations earn money, spend money, and pay taxes on what's left over. And that's why you have all the people complaining about, like, Amazon, who has been around for 20 plus years now, never paid a dime in income tax because they spent it all. They reinvested. And they have huge losses carrying forward. And now that they've turned the switch and AWS is actually making some money, they're able to show that income and offset it with those losses from those prior years and pay nothing still. So my facts can suck on circumstances if they're not satisfied. So yeah, different rules for different teams. You want to be on the winning team, which is always going to be the the corporate side. Tom Wheelwright, who's the rich dad tax guy, he likes to say that there's 30 pages of schedules in the Internal Revenue Code that deal with raising revenue. So they're the tax tables. So like if you file single or married separate or married joint or head of household, you made this much taxable income. These are your tax rates. And the rest of it is how to not pay that because it's true. It's all the different credits and what can you exclude and what can you expense and that kind of stuff. The Tax Cut and Jobs Act of the Trump tax reform made it very, very clear that the individual exemptions thing is pretty much over. Everything's now going to be on the corporate side, and whether that's corporation or partnership or LLC or whatever. There are pros and cons to each thing, but all the flexibilities on that side. And I'm a huge fan of of what Rich Dad, the Rich Dad cash flow quadrant, where you have a cross where you have E in the top left, you have S in the bottom left, you have B in the top right, and I on the bottom right. So it's employee, self-employed, business owner, and investor. So employees and self-employed are the highest tax people, and they have the least flexibility. The business owners and the investors, they have all the flexibility and all the tax breaks. And, they're the rich guys, and the rules are written for the rich, by the rich, and all that kind of stuff. So, be on the rich side. That's the way you want to go. Unless you don't care. Some people don't. I had clients come in and it's like, yeah, we say we could do X, Y, and Z. Like, nah, I'll just pay it what it is. And, okay. Some people are so afraid of the IRS, menace that they're willingly paying more than they need to. But, hey, I'm not your therapist. So that brings us to let's see. My local time is 10:56, and we've got about 2 minutes left. And so what I want from the chat: stop being poor. That's right. Stop being poor. That is the answer. And that's actually not the answer though, because you want to be poor on paper. Your company should be the one controlling your assets. And, if you want to talk about, asset management and cash flow, you can read my post on how to mostly opt out of fiat. And I talk about, how you can operate your own personal cash flow with minimizing your use of banks. Because, I, for one, am a strong believer that cryptocurrency is the future. Now we're very, very early days. So people complain that, Bitcoin's gone to 20,000. It came back to 3,000. That's terrible. It's now at 9,000 or whatever. We are so early on still that it's just crazy where, 100 years from now, 200 years from now, do you think we'll be using the US dollar and, pieces of paper? And, stuff like, stuff with Lincoln's face on it like this, I don't think so. So, whether it's Splinterlands or whatever, I think crypto is the future. But I do think it's going to take longer than most crypto evangelists want. Make the show 2 hours. Well, so here's the problem with making the show 2 hours, Ron, is that, so I am in tax season, which is brutal. And there's various reasons for that. But yeah, so, I was with clients from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. today. And that's kind of an average day. And sometimes it goes longer, which is why I had to make this time, as so late in the day for me, because this is the only time I could be relatively sure, not always, but relatively sure, that I'd be able to do it. And I know how to check orgasm. I check everything. So actually, I will leave you with this one thing, where it's the wrong spreadsheet. So I have to ask people the crypto question on their taxes, and this is this is the results from last Friday to now. So I asked 79 different people. They could be married couples. It could be individuals. If they bought, sold, traded, did anything with crypto, and that those were my answers. So only 2 said yes, And we are out of time, so have a good one.